Ms. Verlaine Diane Soobroydoo. She is the founder and chair of Sahara's Dream Incorporated, and she sees herself as a UN humanitarian servant. Her topic today will be Reimagining Africa in a post-COVID world. We welcome you, Ms. Soobroydoo. Welcome to the platform, welcome to the session, and we look forward to hearing what you've got to share with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Antoya, and thank you to all the great innovators, the contributors to society. It was so great to hear all of the pitches you've shared through the Ashoka Social Entrepreneurship Platform, and I think we're all very much inspired. It's a pity, I agree, that we cannot hear and feel the energy in the room. I see 230 people are attending the meeting today. I hope that by the end of the session, we'll be able to either hear from you, your voices, and also how you felt about this great session today. I would like to start by making a special shout out actually to the young women and men participating in today's Changemakers United Africa Online Summit. We're connecting throughout the continent, Africa, but also throughout the world. I really liked the image we saw earlier from France, from Japan, from, of course, the diaspora, and Friends of Africa. So many thanks to the great Ashoka team also, and our brother, the Executive Director, Sam, and Josephine for delivering this summit in a very, very challenging time, and for bringing us together today to discuss a pivotal issue for our time, reimagining Africa for people, for today, and for tomorrow. Thank you also to the Ashoka partners who believing in the vision put forth by Ashoka and the incredible innovators present here today who are committed to build back better and stronger in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and to the many challenges we're facing today. We're here to commit to quick wins that we can deliver, but also to set the stage for longer-term plans of actions that will center people, connectivity, partnerships, and innovation. Today, well, I'm standing alone in New York, but I'm not coming to you alone. As a child, my father and my mother, Gustav and Mary, always set me and my 6 brothers under what they call the baobab tree in our living room. Our home was the baobab, the place for communication, for discussion, for exchange, and of course, of appreciation. And together we would plan. And I was raised believing in the power of coming together, of discussing, and of uniting. And later, as I started my career as an international civil servant in my early 20s at the United Nations in partnerships with the African Union, a strong figure who has now passed on, unfortunately, the late Executive Director of UNFPA, His Excellency Dr. Babatunde Ozotimiyen, would always remind us, the younger generation of Africans at the United Nations, that if we wanted to go far, we would have to go together. And this has been my mantra in the years that followed my formative professional beginning of career until today. And so today, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, friends who are connecting, innovators, you see me as one, but I'm not alone. I'm standing strong, of course, with the 16 of my sisters and brothers, incredible innovators, dreamers in actions, that's what I like to call, who dedicate their lives to make Africa and our communities safer and stronger. And together, we're defying the odds, we have to say it. We're updating the narrative within and outside Africa. We're thousands and millions driven by the hope and dreams anchored in our past. But we're steady, we have faith in our present, and we're hopeful for the beautiful potential that we dare to foresee for the future of our continent. Before I go on, I would like to say a few words about the organizations I work with, of course, the UN and the AU. The UN turned 75 years old last September, and in its youth, the organization committed that it was not created to take humankind to heaven, but to save humanity from hell. And I think that's what we're doing every day, each one of us connected on this call. And I know many of you are familiar with the UN and the African Union because of the work you're leading around Agenda 2030 or Agenda 2063 for sustainable development and the Africa we want. And the 2030 Agenda is based on 17 sustainable development goals, and it is our best effort to create together the conditions to build societies that thrive and not only survive over the next 10 years. Because as we're hearing today, I think we're done surviving. I think it's time to thrive. And this pandemic has really reasserted that we have the power to do so. I know some of you have been in the front lines of wars as well, and of its devastating consequences. I myself have witnessed its shattering impacts. Our world is now experiencing one of the worst ever global health emergency, according to WHO. It is quite difficult to describe the devastation brought by armed conflicts, climate change, gender-based violence, and now a global health pandemic with a clear potential to erode all the gains we've made over the last 2 decades for a better life for all. And despite a strong and continued engagement, we must face the harsh reality that the COVID-19 pandemic accelerates poverty, inequalities, and gender-based violence, which was coined by UN Women Executive Director and a very own former South Africa Vice President, Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, the shadow pandemic. And COVID-19 has also increased vulnerability, as we've seen by the videos showed at the very beginning of this discussion, increased vulnerability by impeding on people's access to employment, to food, and really other critical resources with overwhelming effects on women and girls, threatening all the efforts we've led on this front for gender equality. Just to give you some numbers, because we always say, show me the receipts to understand what's happening. UN Women estimates that at least 200 million women and girls aged 15 to 49 have undergone FGM, and the numbers are rising due to lockdowns. And about 15 million adolescent girls are being raped. The numbers of unwanted pregnancies by young women have skyrocketed due to the lockdowns imposed by the measures adopted to tackle the pandemic. So all of those are scourges to which we must find solutions. The pandemic, this time we're living and experiencing as one humanity, has clearly showed that we need to serve the people and the planet first. This really applies to all the circumstances, and now more than ever to our continent in Africa. And the COVID-19 has been very challenging for Africa, as we've seen. The adverse economic impact has been felt throughout the continent. But as we know, and that's why we're here today, that each challenge brings an opportunity, that an opportunity to be better and to do better, an opportunity to reassess, to develop the necessary mechanisms, ecosystems, I heard Pat, her brother, mention it, to build a positive change. The pandemic has demonstrated that people can achieve a lot when we unite. I have in mind, of course, the participation of civil society organizations, of member states with the support of the AU and the UN, finance and health ministers, social entrepreneurs, public health workers, women and young people who have been at the forefront to respond to the crisis since day one. But we must also recognize the leadership and the creativity of our social innovators who have been the first responders. Social entrepreneurs and innovators, let's face it, we get the job done. We hear the heartbeat of society. We look at the disease, we analyze it, and we look for what could be a tangible response. We go deep inside and tap into our inner creativity, our collective strength, and I want to say even love, the agape love, the love that Reverend Martin Luther King spoke so extensively about, to help deliver a solution, to deliver a remedy for our communities, for our continent, but also for our world. Because Africa is not detached from the world. Africa is the world, and the world is Africa. The COVID-19 pandemic, despite its many, many challenges, has been the opportunity to show that young Africans are visionary innovators. Young Africans use technology to address community issues. It is therefore essential that they have access to the necessary resources, from the much needed support network to key partnerships to scale up, leapfrog, and to address the big elephant in the room, which is access to sustainable financial resources. This year, in 2020, African startups have already raised about $500 million. That's great, but that's also a drop in the ocean when it comes to startup financing. And we know that nonprofit and social startups and women's-led startups get a little slice of this small pie. So now, moving forward, will require tapping into this innovation with unity at the center. The continent must be united. Of course, we have in mind our forefathers and our foremothers, Kwame Nkrumah, Cheikh Anta Diop, Winnie Mandela, Wangari Maathai, who were all determined to make Africa united from 1963 at the creation of the OAU to the fight for gender equality and climate security in the years that followed. Today, we're still facing many, many troubles, and it is our responsibility, our social innovators as humanitarians and private sector stakeholders, to come together and to work closely with key institutions such as the AU and the UN and member states to build up on the Pan-African, and I want to say the Pan-African feminist revival, a vision led by our foremothers and forefathers. We witnessed this revival of a positive change blooming in all the corners of the continent, led notably by young women and men through the new technologies and innovations platform that are blooming. And today, we have a roadmap, we have a clear vision, and we have a plan. So where do we go from here with all of those great elements we have? Well, the answer is quite simple. It's a choice between chaos or community. And I trust that if we're all here today, it's because we're making the intentional choice every day to serve and to choose community. By doing so, our vision is crystal clear. Reimagining Africa, which means building on this Pan-African and gender equal roadmap for people today and tomorrow. Reimagining Africa means that our response to the multiple crises must be collective and innovative. We start by empowering people, social entrepreneurs and innovators, and ensuring inclusiveness and equality as part of our collective responsibility for a more just and a world for all, for a more just Africa and a more just world for all, as a matter of fact. This vision of transformation must be aligned with the multi-stakeholders partnerships for innovation. We simply cannot go alone. Continental and global cooperation is crucial to promote innovation, new technologies, STEM, but also to mobilize the urgent resources for education, to advocate and to continue building the change we urgently want to see. Reimagining Africa means that our response must also be inclusive. And when I say inclusive, I mean really include everyone. It is our responsibility, you and I, all of us, to look around the table and identify the missing voices, to offer the necessary space for them to echo their ideas. I'm thinking of grassroots organizations and vulnerable groups. It's really simple, and we've seen it through the programs shared earlier by all the great innovators. The ones the most affected by the social, economic, and health impacts of COVID-19 must be at the center of the response. It is our responsibility as a collective humanity to create this space and to build back better. Otherwise, we will reproduce the systemic frameworks of exclusion, of discrimination, notably against people living with disabilities, women and girls, and this would be a loss of an amazing opportunity. Inclusiveness in our response also means ensuring a gender lens in our economic resilience package responses. I have in mind here governments and partners who are connected today on this platform. We must ensure that funding and financial support towards women's-led social entrepreneurships and startups get a significant raise that will build the urgent change at community level. We can get real, women do deliver. Inclusiveness in our response also means ensuring stronger communication systems for awareness in our communities, notably by doubling efforts to catch up with the world's fourth industrial revolution. And it is now time for Africa to capitalize on this revolution, which builds on the use of disruptive new technologies such as artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, e-commerce, robotics, 3D printings, which all have the potential to positively impact the continent. Reimagining Africa means that our action must be bold. There is no room for half notes or half measures here. We must go in it fully, we must go in it powerfully, and we must go in it together. The COVID-19 pandemic has clearly put us in front of a fait accompli. For Francophone participants, I saw a lot of messages in French today. We cannot continue mismanaging our world's humans, natural and innovative resources. For this, we have to be maladjusted to the negative status quo, to quote Martin Luther King, and dare to be bold. you would ask, how do we dare to be bold? Well, we dare to be bold by focusing on building today the foundation for a stronger Africa today and tomorrow, including through the power of our social innovators. And I wholeheartedly congratulate Ashoka innovators, including Neo Hutiri and his team from South Africa, for building a solution that seeks to protect health professionals and patients by leveraging internet-enabled smart testing. Screening and testing are critical for Africa's fight against COVID-19. I also wholeheartedly congratulate Muzelima Mwanza and her team from Zambia for stepping up and delivering a solution that could locally produce his protection equipment to improve maternity care. Maternity care was challenged given the high infectious nature of COVID-19, making obstetric care very, very challenging to access. And these two outstanding examples confirm that innovators are healers, they're dreamers in actions on our continent. We dare to be bold by combating fake news and corruptions, and thank you for highlighting that, which are gangrenes to our societies, through open sources and by keeping our representatives accountable to achieve their mission to serve us, the citizens. And we dare to be bold by reimagining and delivering access to quality education, particularly online. Education has been deeply disrupted by COVID-19. It is now urgent to be bold and to look to the future by rapidly adapting digital technologies that will serve online teaching. The supply and value chains of the 21st century are rapidly shifting. As African youth, we have the full potential to become the drivers of a more sustainable economy and societies across the world. So let us dare to be bold by connecting, networking, and encouraging young social entrepreneurs to receive the necessary support from institutional leaders, organizations, and private sector companies. Let us dare to be bold by being visible. For too long, our voices and dreams have been absent from the mainstream narratives. Let your solution speak for and of the greatness of Africa and her innovators on the continent and beyond. Let us dare to be bold by being intentional in providing the urgent funding to leapfrog the transformative impact brought by African youth innovators towards economic justice and social impact investing, notably through the Changemakers United platform. And here again, I would like to congratulate Ashoka for this great platform. To conclude, my brothers and my sisters, let us remind ourselves that while significant progress has been made, a lot more, so much remains to be done. Let us take courage and continue knowing that change always starts with you. It always starts today. You can start small or you can start big, but it starts today. And to my fellow young women and men, sisters and brothers, prepare yourself for the journey. The journey requires a concentrated effort. Just like a journey through the mountain, it's a long preparation and it's a long walk to build lasting positive change. Be ready, be resilient, be forceful, be faithful, be hopeful, be a dreamer in action. And to all the young women present today, you're not only fulfilling your dreams, you're breaking gender stereotypes and creating a better and more equal world for all of us. And for that, I congratulate you, I stand with you, and I support you. This Changemakers United Africa Online Summit is truly a proud day for all of us, and most particularly for our 16 incredible innovators. You've worked really hard to get here. We know that, beyond yourself. And for our communities, for Africa, this takes commitment. This takes energy, aspiration, and resilience to stand where you are today. And so I applaud each one of you, your friends, your coworkers, the volunteers who have supported you through this journey, seeking to reimagine Africa and to deliver on this vision. And the last word for you to meditate on for the rest of the week, remember that time remains neutral. Live with a strong sense of impatience and the urgency to deliver beyond you. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chain, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedoms of others, to quote our late Madiba Nelson Mandela. So we must take courage and we must continue. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Verlaine. Thank you so much. I almost feel as if I don't want to say anything because I don't want to dilute or take away in any form whatsoever from what you've just shared with us. Thank you so much. But if I can just pick up a few words that I see that we're getting from the chat. I see the word bold. I see hand showing strength. I see a lot of our participants are saying thank you. Very inspiring indeed. They'd actually love us to share your speech. I don't know if that will be possible, but we can have that as an offline discussion. And I see audacious. And I think my take from this, from what you've just shared with us, is to thrive. And I think once you see yourself as being part of the solution, part of the collective, part of being the what can I call it, the positive movement that needs to happen to overcome COVID and also to empower ourselves moving forward, is that you're seeking to thrive from yourself and also to see your society and as a country thriving. Thank you very much, Verlaine. I really, let me not say any more. I risk taking you away from that.
No, thank you to you. And again, I really would like to thank the innovators, because looking at all the stories and the hope, and as you mentioned, thriving, I think this is really the cornerstone. COVID-19 has showed us that we cannot survive anymore. We need to thrive. And to all the participants here today, please do so. Thrive beyond yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.